Hello. Hello, happy book club. Hi, all. Hello. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you all here. Happy Wednesday. We'll wait a couple of minutes. How are you all today? Hello, hello. Welcome. So happy you're all here. I cannot wait. I can't wait to talk about this. How are we today? What's our mental state going into Briar's book? Hello, welcome. I'm so glad y'all are here. We're gonna wait a minute or two, but please, how are we feeling? Finished the audiobook right before the start. All the emotions. Ooh, yes. I did not finish the audiobook. I did this and then I dabbled the audiobook a little bit. A doozy. Yes. Oh. Okay. Yeah. I can see why you were never ready for going into his book. I'm so excited to talk about this. Oh, it says some of the comments were filtered. I don't know where to find that. Re-comment? Okay, I can see why this was your favorite of the main four. I think it might have been my favorite of the main four, too. I'm going to wait another minute or two so people can join, and then we'll dive into this. It wrecked me. Clearly it wrecked me this week. It was a rough one. I finished it at like 4:30 in the morning too. I just wasn't prepared. I wasn't prepared. Even though I knew going into it, it would be hard. It would be hard. So much happens. It's wonderful. This was gut-wrenching in all of the best ways. I sobbed at the end too. It was it was so much. So I'm glad that people are in the same boat that I am with Briar's book, because this one was an absolute doozy, as was mentioned earlier in the chat. I am so impressed that everyone was able to keep all of these main themes to yourself. This whole time I've been talking about how interested I've been in death and about the depictions of death, and wasn't that a theme throughout this whole book? You just finished it like an hour ago. I'm still devastated. I finished it a couple of days ago. It is. I keep thinking about the ending, the scene where they go and get Rosethorn. I can't get it out of my head. I thought something was going to happen to Rosethorn. There are a couple of things that Tamora Pierce, I think part of it is just I've reread her other series so often that I know her writing. And so there are just these little tiny hints that I'm like, oh, something's going to happen to Rosethorn. I'm glad we got her back. That was something I was really, I was worried there for a minute. I was very, very worried about it for a minute. I'm so thankful everyone held their spoilers well. Because it was rough. And this was such an interesting depiction. I'm glad you brought it up. And it was different from all of her other ones. It really was different from all the other ones. And I thought, we've also talked about the different cultures and their depictions of death. And I thought that this was so definitive in so many ways. But of course, like the next thing would be not only for Rosethorn to have a garden, but to have it be a challenge. I really liked that. And I loved how everything came together. You know, we are diving deep in. We're like just at the meat. Listen to the audio version. Okay, I absolutely will finish the audio version of it too. Every week I mention something, and everyone does such a great job of holding the spoilers between this, and then we have such a great time on the Discord server. If you show up to book club every week and you are not in the Discord server, please join us over there because it is phenomenal and a wonderful place. I think you would enjoy. It's one of my favorite places on the internet. But they've been bearing the brunt of my my Briar worry. This was phenomenally written, and there were a couple of things I want to pull out because it's not just Briar's book, but we finished the quartet, y'all. Oh, yes. So you found yourself thinking about Crane's voice in the audiobook? Okay, I need to dig into that. And thank you for dropping the Discord in the chat. I really appreciate that. Yes, there were so many fake outs. And then we got Rosethorn back. I love the fact that there was an anchor in all of the books. I love how there's, in every book, there's a moment where the four of them come together, usually at night, and whether it is to give Sandry that stone filled with light, or like what we saw with Briar after his nightmares, and everybody hunkered down together with him. That was phenomenal. I love those moments. And then also these big power moments that we have with the four of them. I think Tammy does that so well. And with this one, they stood in death's doorway and convinced. I think the hardest part, of course, was convincing Rosethorn to come back. But I'm curious what everybody else thinks of this. I love what's going on in the chat right now. Rosethorn's personal afterlife is one of my favorite details. I agree. I thought that, like I said earlier, it's not just the fact that it's a garden, but it's a challenge. Rosethorn's somebody who really needs to be challenged, and we need to protect Briar at all costs. You were all so right in saying that Briar's arc is arcing. I've read this now, I think, probably twice. This is probably the second time I've ever read this book, and he is easily in my top 3 men that Tamora Pierce has ever written. We need to protect Briar. I know I haven't finished the rest of the series yet, but right now, this man is precious. This man is precious. One thing you wrote down, okay, happened down the beginning, but Sandra is taking the wrinkles out of Triss's dress. Yes, it's those little details that are just, I think they're such a beautiful display of power, and also who this character is as a human, what they care about, and their dynamics together. That's such a gorgeous detail. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I also love that Rosethorn's paradise was so tempting to Briar. They really are alike. I think that that's also because Briar has somebody that he wants to emulate. He wants to grow up, and he wants to be like Rosethorn. And he hasn't had too many opportunities like that. And that dynamic is so brilliantly written. I really love Rosethorn and Briar's dynamic. Really started out with class difference, and it spreads beyond that. I agree with you. I think that it's such a both and. Tamora Pierce does that so well. She writes complicated characters and complicated relationships really well that ultimately are able to show you who that character is at their core, even though there are all of these other dynamics that are going on. Yes, we love that they address the class issues. It was something that you thought about when you were younger. Yes, I did too. There were a lot of pieces that made sense. And even if you weren't, or at least for me, even if I didn't identify with one character, there was always another character that I saw in somebody else or with my interactions with other people. Briar is precious. And if you didn't like Triss so much, he would be your favorite. Yeah, I really like Triss. I can't wait to have more Triss. I don't feel like we got enough of Triss, but what we did get of Triss, perfect. Absolutely perfect. I thought Triss was the perfect addition to be Crane's scribe. That made so much sense to me. That dynamic was fantastic. Let's see. Who are my top 2 men? I would have to say George, of course. I really love George, and then probably Miles. I really like Miles. I really like the version of masculinity that we're presented with Miles. He does a brilliant job of blending this different both and. He has this code of chivalry. I love, one of my favorite things about him is that he wanted Alan to tell him that he was Alana. He did not want to hear it from anyone else, even though he suspected for years. He always covered for Alan in every way, shape, and form. There's so many things about Miles. I could go on and on and on, but I just off the top of my head, I would have to say George and Miles are my top two other men. But let's see. Wrote down was Rose Thorne's thoughts on disasters. Other disasters bring people together. Buildings break, so you can tell that. Oh, I think I have that same passage underlined, if I can find it somewhere. There was a lot in here about disasters and... Are you talking about the slow-moving ones? Yes. One of the things I do, I have the whole passage underlined about most disasters are fast and big. You can see everyone else's life got overturned when yours did. Houses are smashed, livestock's dead, but plagues isolates people. They shut themselves inside while disease takes a life at a time. Day after day, it adds up. While whole cities break under the load of what was lost, people stop trusting each other because you don't know who's sick. Whoo! Was that the one you were thinking of on that? Yes, Briar finally has someone who cares. I agree. Yes, okay, yeah, so it was the right one. It was the right quote. Okay, I'm catching up from the chat. I'm so sorry, y'all. You're a health worker. Yes. Triss's interactions with Kane, Briar, Triss. Okay. Healthcare workers in this. I'm curious to hear if this was accurate at all to your experience, or if it reflected anything. Part of my lore is that I was a frontline health worker advocate. I worked on and then around Capitol Hill, as well as with international groups. I really fought for funding, but I was an advocate. I worked for the Frontline Health Workers Coalition, and then I also worked for the Safeguarding Health and Conflict Coalition, and helped document attacks on healthcare workers around the world. I left that position in January of 2020 and ended up in a fully remote position, was completely isolated during COVID. I was living in Washington, D.C. It was all shut down. I didn't get on the metro for, I think it was 14 months. But I was very close to having a very different experience with COVID. And this really brought back a lot of that. And it was something we talked a little bit on the Discord, is the, how it just smashes you right in the face from the start. So I'm curious to hear from other people. Was it eerie reading this after your experiences in 2020? Because it certainly was for me. Yeah, quarantine being born. Limited space. Yeah. I thought that quote about the slow-moving disasters was very true, too. Even it was very rapidly moving, it was still very isolating in so many ways. And a lot of mistrust was sown. There's a Discord! Yes, thank you. Join us. We're having a great time. There's also a YouTube, which everyone's been great about. This is where I post the lives, and soon there will be long-form content. I just need to get it together. Yes, there was a quote about people walking around with masks and, not having eye contact. I also appreciated how tedious they made it, and how thought through it all was. It was, we have to make sure these things are overlapping. It can't just touch the skin. It went very into detail about disease transfer and the magical nature of it all. I thought that was such an interesting component too. Because this was, standard precautions. Yes, these things, believe it or not, at one point in time, it was very much, my job was not controversial when I was a frontline health worker advocate, I would go to offices on Capitol Hill and say, hey, aren't frontline health workers around the world great? And everyone would agree. And then we would celebrate and talk about giving them more money, but nobody actually would give them more money. So things are very different now, but it was so clear to me that Tamora Pierce did her research on this. And she talks about it in the acknowledgments. I think it's her sister. I believe I wrote it down. Yes. And my acknowledgement starts out, thanks due to my sister Kim, paramedic and nurse to be, for crash medical talks. Any errors here, the descriptions of the disease and treatments are strictly my own. Yeah, she did. She also owes a bunch of debt. She talks about all of the research that she did. I love the fact that she did her research. And Trissa's mask didn't fit right because of her glasses. As a fellow glasses wearer, most of the time, and it fogged up. Very important. When Briar had his and Rose Thorn's plans brought in because she thought he was wilting, that's one of the notes. That is one of the notes that I have in here, is like Rose Thorn crashes out, like hardcore crashes out, and then Briar thinks she's a plant, is what I have written down. She's a plant without sunlight. And I think he does. I think he has a quote about that. It is adorable. It's absolutely adorable. Oh, and Triss looking out for Nico in the sewers. Oh. I thought Tamora Pierce tread the line of like complaining and being realistic about that situation. I love their confrontation where Triss realizes that like it's one of those, it's his first time on Earth too, and we both hate this. I really appreciate it. It's in those moments you see them grow up. Incident by incident. Daja the anchor. Daja is the anchor. Daja is the anchor for all of this. I love all of their relationship together. And the moment she showed up in that scene, I was like, I know it's going to happen. You're going to anchor it. It's going to be perfect. Great. All the detail. I never would have thought that it would have been relevant. The protocols for finding the disease was also fast. I agree with that too, that the idea of protocols, and then the way that they were able to magically speed through testing on humans, that was very clever. And the whole thing was caused by improper disposal and ignoring procedures. It's just human carelessness. It's such a tricky thing. Oh, Flick. Flick's death was hard. What do I have in here? I have in here that Tamora Pierce has either like talked to somebody about this, or has experienced it, or has done a lot of research on those last moments and like watching somebody with their last breaths. And with Flick, I thought that was very apparent. Just one of the main themes for this book, I think, really was death, and Flick's scene was so sad, but I think justice was done with how it was done and Briar's reaction. I thought it was, I think about it a lot. A lot. Let's see, let me catch up some on the chat. Nico's reaction is still not over the top. I agree. For the sewers, like, he was a stressed adult. I think maybe it's Trish's book, it might have been Daja's book, they mentioned that he's 53. Like, he's really not that old at all, and I wouldn't want to be in the sewer either. It's a normal reaction, especially I think with Triss she has a porcupine quills out a lot. I'm sure she's calmed down a bit, but you really saw her grow in that moment. The fever dreams of Flick, yes, absolutely. For me, it was the fever dreams and that breath. The way that Tamora Pierce wrote about the breath, that was just rough. Let's see. Crane and Briar's relationship growing was so good. I agree too. I think Briar did a really good job of recognizing where Crane was coming from early on, and respecting the need for such strict protocol. I think Briar matured quite a bit in this. The way the nurses warned him, might not survive, but he believed so much that it would work out, and then didn't believe afterwards. He's so mature for so much of it, and then he has these moments where you're like, ooh, that's so holy, that's so human, that's so deeply human. And that of a young child, of course this would be your reaction. Nurses Warn inflicts death really sets the tone, especially when you read it when you were younger. I'm really curious, how young was everyone when they first read these? I'm pretty sure I read it when it came out, as they were coming out, so this would have been 1999. So I might have been 2nd, 3rd grade, something like that. Very young, very young. I remember sobbing. I've been so worried about reading this book because I remember it breaking me. It was a rough one. I wasn't ready. So I agree. It set the tone. I think I tried Magic Steps, but I don't think I got much further in the Circle Open series the same way that I do any of these. Talking about the death rattle and the consumption patient, yeah, that was Tamora Pierce does a really good job with healing tents in making them feel like a battleground. You see this in the other series as well, but I really felt it here. It was really dark. I don't think her work is ever gruesome, but it is so deeply realistic. The comparison to the death of the consumptive man to the death of Flick was an important one too. I agree. And on not just that physical level, but that emotional level too, and the depth of like the echo of it. It was just it was so well written, Let's see, what is this about? Crane, I'm catching up, y'all. Crane cared early on when he helped carry a basket. Yes, I agree. Briar picked that he was upbringing stunting his emote. Yes, I agree. Okay, so early middle school. Magic Steps is good, but probably your least favorite of the Circle Opens. Okay, that's good to keep in mind. Middle school, 2009. I graduated in 2009. The Magic Step was your first Tamora Pierce book? That's so interesting. What an interesting entrance. I think that's the next one we'll have. I'm excited for it. Found it at a thrift store while with your grandparents. What a great find. Doing a Circle reread soon too. Yes. Briar clocking the medicinal tents. The medical tents saying that they were commonly used for maintenance. Briar knows so much. His street smarts came out in so many different ways in this book. I really liked it. So people don't panic when they don't see them. Yes. He sees. Respect and show them asking for help when they were released. Let's see. Did I underline the exchange of Triss and Nico in the sewers about her spelled glasses? I might have. Let's see. Triss. No, I don't think I... Unless I did it under Nico's. I have a system. Each one is for a different character / a catch-all. I don't know if I do have that one with Triss. There also comes a point sometimes where I'm reading and I get so sucked in that I forget to underline and put tabs on things. We have a chapter. Seeing magic. Okay. I think I found the chapter. Which one are we thinking of? Okay. Yes, expressing... Oh, there it is. There's an advantage to teaching young mages. Suggestion catch for so much with you four. That's a good one. Denials only told Death that there was someone who would be missed. Death's favorite kind of victim. Ooh, I do have that one underlined. I do have that underlined of like, yes, I absolutely do have that part underlined with Daja. Love the concept of how their magic works as someone who has fiber arts hobbies. I completely agree with you. Mine are up on the wall, kind of. My fiber arts aren't great, but I love that they're all woven together. I think that one thing I do think we haven't paid attention to enough is the fact that they can mind speak to each other, and I think it either needs to be used more or less, or there needs to be some rules or limitations around it, or we need to take it more seriously or something, because it's a little underused, but it's used just fine. It seems a little weird, and I wish we would address it a little more. Let's see. Managed to teaching young mages. Suggestion counts for so much. The suggestion with them counts for so much. They're expressing, their magic is so unique. Each one of them, it shows up in different ways, and I really love it when they combine. I love the different ways that they've combined, whether it be the prosthetic leg that they made for Polyam in Daja's book, or the living tree. I love that, I think it was Triss who ended up welding. There's some great ones. Daja has a different view of death because she's a traitor. I completely agree, and that's that great quote that she has. There's some great, I'm trying to catch up in the chat. You all are so fantastic. Yeah, Daja, that whole exchange with Daja just hit me hard. And we've talked about Daja and grief a couple of times. In almost every book it's come up because the traitors are different. I feel like they're so upfront about it and speak very openly of it. Kids believe anything is possible, yes, until told otherwise, which is why they are so powerful. I agree, and I think we see that in the exchanges that Nico has with people who think that they should go to the other, like, magic university. Being worried about Sandry. First time reading this and being so worried about Sandry because of her past. I agree. I think Sandry, when she was first introduced, I did not like her, but I love her. There's so many times in this that she's just been so great. Like when I love that she's a friend. That's my favorite part about her, is that she's a good friend. She's very, very forceful about it. But I love when she talks to Briar about his birthday, and he wants to make his birthday in remembrance of Flick, and she tells him that no one who's your friend would want you to think about them and be sad. And she gives really good advice. She's a good friend. I'm glad that we're sharing the Discord. I'm so excited. And Daja sitting vigil. I know. And she talks about the Odie bookkeeper. She's just very realistic. She's like we've said before, she's such an anchor. Such an anchor. And your favorite line in the book is at the end. They would know as he did that his life began when Rosethorn had invited him into her world. Yes, I squealed. I absolutely squealed when he chose his birthday because of that. It was just, it's perfect. Mindspeak will get more rules in the next book. Okay, good. Good, because I need some structure to it. Speaking through vines was really interesting. I think that goes back to the idea that over and over again, I've seen this idea that there's magic everywhere, that there's, especially where there's life, and they really just need to learn to use it. Will of the Empress has a great view of Mindspeak, so that's exciting. Okay, we'll get there. Lightbridge University, thank you. Wearing red for grief because it's the color of blood. Yes. That one was huge. That was a huge theme for her at the beginning. She still wears a little red. Dajo's ritual for dispelling bad dreams. Loved that. Loved it. I love how they all give space for each other, too. And navigated around each other. Like when Triss was asleep, by the altar, and they just kind of all went around her. Aspect, the light spring university, thank you, thank you. Sandra panicked about the plague until she had a concrete task to help. Yes. Spelling the mass in robes. Yes. And I think Triss too, she was just, all I have to do is read. I understand. I hear that. I will just read until she was given a concrete task to do, until she was able to work with Crane, which that might be one of my favorite dynamics in this book. I do love Rose Thorn and Briar, but I love how Triss challenges Crane. That was just phenomenal. Sobbing for that last line of the book, yes. It is so good. It's so satisfying the way it all comes together. Worried because of Sandry. Sandry having time to prepare for the next day. Yes. And Shriek came back for a cameo. I was very excited to see that Shriek has found a pack. I think it feels like Tamora Pierce was trying out how to write that kind of character. I think she does it really well in The Griffin, and Kel has the Griffin for the right amount of time where it doesn't become annoying and difficult to write to make sure you have all of those little details in there, but it's still this critical character and this critical connection that you have. So I'm excited to see if Shriek or anything about Shriek or having Shriek comes back into play later on, because that was such a great part of Kel's story, and I think these came out before that, and just, it's interesting having reflections of each other. Let's see, the four sleeping in the main room to be closer. I thought that was one of the scenes that I wrote down in here about them. I love the scene where they all come together after the nightmare. I also giggling about the fact that Lark knows the taste of horse urine. What? Okay. And then Rose Thorn's plague speech were huge ones. And then death. Yes, and talking about it. One of the other big pieces that I've been thinking a lot about, especially with Briar, is that these books have so far not been about finding yourself in the same way I feel like a lot of coming of age books are, but these are so much about foraging yourself and defining yourself. And Briar makes so many real huge decisions about who he is, like his name, his birth date. But I think in all of their small ways, they are making active decisions about who they are, and rather than having it be a passive thing. In Briar's book, I really think it's great. Honestly, you've been using Daja's method for incense for bad dreams. I love that. That's such a great idea. Oh, I get comments in like big batches, and so I'm sorry I have to go back and read them and bring them down. But it was cool how Briar could feel Sandry and Lark's magic in the mask and made him feel safer. I thought that was really such a nice touch. It made me think of my grandmother, who puts a little bit of sage in her masks. And every time I smell it, I think of her. And she's a retired nurse. Crane telling Briar in no uncertain terms that he needed Briar's help. Yes. I thought that Crane worked really hard eventually to let Briar know how much he was needed. And it was good to see him earn it. But Briar earned all of the praise. Just protect this boy. Crane and Rose Thorn getting sick of Briar's slang. Yes, so he does it more deliberately. Yes. I love how he also immediately starts getting the gossip from everyone else who works there. Making friends with people. Lark contains multitudes. I so agree. I need more. I need more Lark. I need more Rose Thorn. Lark's elusive backstory is its own character. I need more Lark backstory, because we're just getting these little drops here and there. I too wish more Lark. So much more of Lark's backstory. I think she's lived a wild life. She would be a great character if you write fanfic. She would be a great character to write some fanfic about for her backstory. Forgetting themselves instead of finding themselves. I agree. Yeah, forging themselves instead of finding themselves. I think that is a huge theme with these. They all have a lot of choice and autonomy. Their power is unique, but it fits in so well, and it's so natural amongst the world that they get to choose. And they've all had a choice has been such a critical piece of all of their stories so far. We see it, I think we see it a lot with Triss, with the way that she has to like choose how she's going to wield her power, choose to be in control of her power. We see it with Daja not giving up, but reconciling with her traitor past and where she wants to go. We really see it a lot with Briar in these very, very tangible ways. And they also choose each other. Yes, they are forced into the same proximity, and their magic has woven together, but beyond that, Tamora Pierce has done such a good job of having these moments where they choose each other, whether it be to back them up in a fight or rile them up because they think that's the best way for them to get in touch with their power. There's always this moment where they choose each other, and I really love that. You also love that they don't realize until this book that Lark and Rosethorn were great mages. I thought that they knew that they were great mages. That came as a little bit of a surprise for me, because I was like, you're with them every day. Are we taking your own power for granted? Because we've seen them interact with other people, and they aren't treated the same way Nico's treated. That's made clear. Which then makes me question, is it a gender thing? But I think it's more because Nico's power is different. I always love that they ended up with their own tasks in this. I agree that this was the first time, this book was the first time that they had spent the night apart from each other in about a year. And so that was still that was an interesting dynamic. I can't imagine having a sleepover for that long and then being on my own in a plague house. Being put to work. Yeah, that would just be, no wonder Briar grows up so much in this book. With traitors and acrobat and more. I agree. Lark is fantastic. Lark and Rosethorn, his death. Yes. I thought that was a really interesting one too. I think we see death at so many different proximities in this, whether it be Rosethorn or Flix or the consumption or somebody that the kids didn't really necessarily know that well, but their teachers did. So you saw them and their like those echoes of grief too. Grief was a huge part of this. All the baby goats earned so much. Yes. Oh, we have so many comments. I'm going to catch up. I love this. Pop in last comments and things. I could keep going. Let's do this. I am absolutely willing to go extra long tonight. But I want to make sure that the people who join in halfway through, because they haven't read this, have a chance for us to talk about all things Tamora Pierce. And so let's pop in any of your last thoughts about the Circle, the first 4 books of the Circle of Magic that we've read so far. If there are any last things for this quartet before we head into... Whoop, that's street magic. What am I doing? Before we head into The Circle Opens next week. So any last thoughts about Briar's book? You can also bring it up in the next half too, but just I'm gonna slowly turn our ship so we can talk about all things Tamora Pierce, and the people who join at the halfway point can hop on into. And so I'm gonna pop in for these comments. Please let me know thoughts on Briar's book and on wrapping up this quartet that we've done, because we've wrapped up the first 4. The Briar and Crane's apprentice saying to each their own. I agree. That dynamic works so well. It worked really well. Tamora Pierce knows how to write individual characters that don't seem boring and that work really well together. I thought the extra people that they brought in were perfect for that too. Both how do you deal with him? And I've been in these situations before where you're working with somebody, you're I understand why they are like this, but also how do I deal with this? How do I deal with these people? So you've read a fanfic that crosses over both of Tamora's Tamora's setting is by having them in an ocean way. Oh, yes. There are some phenomenal fanfics out there. Phenomenal fanfics. I am avoiding a lot of fanfics right now so it doesn't accidentally spoil the rest of the Circle of Magic series. Especially, yes, I want to keep my eyes on the prize until we get through all of them. Everyone has been phenomenal. So phenomenal with it so far. It has made for just a phenomenal read. Thank you. Please, we even have some fanfic writers amongst us. And so drop what you're working on in the chat. And also we have a channel of it in the Discord. So please join us over there. And scolding Briar for not using all of his magic and get sick just to turn around and die because of the same. That was a big one. Yes. And so Henna's scolding Briar to not use all his magic and then getting sick just to turn around and die because she used all of her magic to save others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. There were so many bits of this story that I thought really reflected a lot of our own pandemic times. And one of the big ones was was health workers. And they poured so much of themselves into helping us. Briar learned so much about friendship and basically being a sibling. I completely agree. Briar learned how not to be alone and how to trust. And I love that we saw him at the beginning of Sandry's book, not wanting to trust anybody, let alone these people, and now literally throwing himself in front of death for everyone and letting them hold him, like trusting them to hold him on the brink of death. Oh, so good. I have goosebumps. Okay. I think there's a difference between great mages and great mages. I agree with you. I think there are great mages. I also don't think we've seen enough mages. I would love to expand. I really want to go to the university, the Lightbringer, Lightlark. Oh, it's escaping me. I know you put it in the chat earlier, but it's escaping me. I really want to go there. I want to see more of the magic. It's ironic, but I always thought that she couldn't account for the magic in it. Yeah, yes. I think Sandra was the only one who knew, but quote me on that. I'm not sure for that. Less class and more that Lark and Rosethorn are initiates of the temple. Good, okay. I want to know more about the temple, like the way of the circle. There's division. There's a brilliant Google Doc. Thank you for putting that together so rapidly after the first book club. That was phenomenal. I can't wait to dig more into it all. Dasha knew they were great mages. Dasha's phenomenal. Okay, oh yeah, okay. I'm hopping in. Thank you all. Yes, please. We need more. Fanfic writers. Okay. I'm getting all of the comments just all in one burst. So I appreciate everyone hanging in there with me as I'm going back. And reading some of them all, things because Nico is versatile about being a great mage, seeing disaster. Rosethorn and Lark have very specific uses. They do, and I want to see more of their dynamic. It's time to restart the circle opens. That's what's next. We learn about the mage prejudice in the next quartet. Good. Okay. I have a feeling the world's going to expand a lot more. I'm very excited for that. Bigger. Okay. His magic is bigger. The bet on how long people would last and Crane knowing about it. That was some classic workplace shenanigans I really appreciated. You're also reading Tortal right now. Seeing how different they are, I get in and out of the books to make videos, and I find myself reading like a chapter or two at a time, and I can't wait for us all to jump into those. Those are going to be, I don't know how we're going to keep those to a half an hour to talk about those. I love them. Love them. Okay. Not getting rid of Briar. Yes, especially when Briar dropped part of the tray. It was clear that he needs Briar. He did such a great job telling Briar in not so many words. Type of magic that Lark and Rosethorn have is not important. I agree. That's part of it. That's part of a huge part of the whole series is that those natural, those more quote unquote mundane magics aren't as formal, aren't as worthy. But they are. Magic Steps is Sandry's story. I'm not sure. It would make sense. Yes, yes. Sandry's story. Please write for this fandom. Please write for this fandom. Reassessing Briar that a mistake was forgiven, yet reassuring Briar that a mistake and forgave him. I have no idea what this one's about. Lights Bridge. Thank you. I will get it. I completely agree. Contrary and wanting to win. These are all great. I am so glad that you're in a place where other people are not weirded out by fanfic writers, because that'd be very embarrassing for me and everybody, but that's not the case here. Not at all. We love fanfic writers. That's, in some way, shape, or form, it's all fanfic. It is all fanfic. One of my favorite tidbits about Tamora Pierce is that she talks a lot about how Éowyn from Lord of the Rings inspired so many of her heroines. Just the idea, that moment, she says, "I am no man," inspired so much of her work. We're all just fanfic. Years since you've reread any of the Emmeline books, please join us. Fanfics channel in the Discord. Yes, join the Discord if you haven't already. Dasha studies. Okay, they're twins. Woo! We have twins. Rose Thornton found out before she went home. I do not remember. Okay, so we'll see. We have twins happening. Okay, I won't look. I am so excited to read these. Yeah, the Daja's book with the fires and the death, that was really intense. We talked about that a bit last week. I love how they're all together. I'm going to work on a favorite chapter video eventually. I think I want to finish all of the rest of the circle before I make any of those videos where I talk about my favorite chapters or favorite books in each. Yes, join us for the Tamora Pierce Book Club. We are now, I want to open it up so we can talk about anything Tamora Pierce. We've been talking about the Circle of Magic. We finished the Circle of Magic Quartet. Now we're going to head into Magic Steps for next week. But now, let's do all things Tamora Pierce. The ice skating. Ooh, is that the ice skating? Are we talking about from something from Circle of Magic, or are we talking about Alana and her ice skating fiascos? Oh, you named one of your D&D characters after one of the twins? Good. Oh, I can't wait to get to the twins. I don't know who they are yet, but I'm excited for it. It wasn't a spoiler. I am very good about, if I do see spoilers, blanking. No idea. Okay. Making sure it wasn't a spoiler. Yeah, a lot of the ice skating. Oh, I see why it's one of her fears. It was they did that so well with her. Oh, you named your Animal Crossing? That's fantastic. Is Kelly your favorite character? Yes, we are. We are going to get to the Tortel reread. Once we finish the Circle series, we're going to do a Tortel reread, and we're going to do it in chronological order, though. So we're going to start with Becca's books. Shaking it up. Ooh, I'm so excited. But we're shaking it up. It's going to be great. Oh, you love Cal. And you named yours New Year. No, I love it. That's so wonderful. Animal Crossing is not one of my... I only play one video game. And I'm working on a video right now where it's The Sims, to spoil it all, where The Sims, I'm looking for Tamora Pierce characters and scenes in The Sims. That's going to come out eventually. I just need to figure out how to film it well, but I filmed some of it. I'm really excited for it. Whoever is on the Sims 4 gallery and is very into Tamora Pierce is very into the Circle of Magic. It is the one place I've seen anywhere where the Circle of Magic fandom outweighs the Tortal fandom. So all of you simmers out there, if you have Tortal, if you have any Tamora Pierce content you want to share in the gallery, we should figure out how to tag it. Because I've just been looking at the Tamora Pierce tag. So if you just look at Tamora Pierce, I go through all the tags kind of related to her, but I think the Tamora Pierce tag, if you wanted to upload something to the Sims 4 gallery, I'm going to be rooting around in there, because there's some phenomenal creations, and I love The Sims. But the D&D has been another huge one. People have talked a lot about doing some D&D for Tamora Pierce. And Eowyn. These are great. When we do the Tortal book club, we're going to do them in chronological order, because I've never read them in chronological order. And so we're going to start with Becca's books and work our way through. So it'll be an adventure. I'm so excited for it, because I've never done the chronological order. I'm catching up on all of these messages. I love how active we are in the chat. It feels like book club. That's the one thing I don't like about this, is that I'm such a back and forth. I love talking to people, and it's hard when no one talks back, but you are all talking back. Okay. So the way that Tammy added the salt weakening the ice, such an interesting plot twist, and it builds, and then it also pays off in the ordeal too. That one was, I think, key. One of the reasons I love the ordeal the most is that your character has to face their fears. Kel is the best. You fell in love with the Glapes because, I would love if you ever post or share anything. Please share with us, because that is so cool. You're playing The Sims right now. I love it. Oh, they're simmers. This is perfect. Started to reread Becca. So hard to switch to Alana. So that's why I want to start with Becca's, because in the past I've found Becca harder to read than the rest of the series, and I think a lot of that has to do with I've set such expectations for the rest of Tortal that when I get to Becca's books, they just don't grab me in the same way, and I know that I'm not going to see any of the characters I really, really enjoy, except for Pounce. But it's different because it's Pounce. You use way too much CC. That's fine. I don't do a whole lot of CC for my Sims. I do a lot of Sims. I have a Sims tattoo. It's a lot. It's too much. Some lit discipline cottage builds. Oh, yes. The discipline cottage builds. I agree with you. There have been some phenomenal discipline cottage builds. I have some downloaded. I can't wait to explore them. Yes. And if you find any, please share them out, because there's some great ones. I kind of want to build my own. I really love to build in The Sims. Becca is your fave. Reading books. All right, down for D&D, Tamora Pierce style. There have been so many people who have said D&D, Tamora Pierce style. I come from a D&D, like my dad was part of the original D&D group of people, so I know lore, I know all of basic bits, but I haven't jumped in myself. Are we going to weave in the short stories in chronological order? That's a really good question. I haven't figured out yet, and I would love other people's suggestions, because I think those short stories are really important, especially when you think about like Numare's Tree Man. There are a lot of really great short stories that would fit really well, and also how to warn people in advance that that's how we're going to read them. Lana, Tempest, then Dane, or Tempest be first? I think it's Alana, then Tempest, then Dane. And I think that's because there's a line, I need to go find it, but in Tempest and Slaughter, there's a line. Okay, so this has not been confirmed in any way. This is me just sharing some fan theory right now. There's a line in Tempest and Slaughter where he's with Aaron, where Aram and Orzon are together, and they look up in the sky, and there's like a shooting star of some sort, but it's not quite. I don't think it's quite the same one that Orzon saw that he sees later on. That is supposed to be a bad omen and all of that. Instead, I think it is Dane being born, because there's a line in her books about, and I think it's her books, maybe it's not, but there's a line in another book. It's going to be part of the reread. It's one of the like wild theories I need to go back and look through, that when a god or a demigod, it's going to be part of the reread. It's one of the like wild theories I need to go back and look through, that when a god or a demigod, sorry y'all, we had an Amber Alert. I think that in one of Dane's books, there's a line about how when a god or something is born, there's a shooting star. I don't know. It is part of my unhinged theories. But I need to catch up on this chat. I'm so glad you're enjoying book club. I love hosting it. So I'm so glad people keep showing up for it. Let's see. I'm catching up on all these fantastic comments. Sword yoga. I've also seen sword yoga on TikTok. I'm very, very sword yoga curious. Tempest would be before Alana, but it's more of a gut feeling. Okay. There are a couple of timelines, I think. So the Spy's Guide has a timeline. There's also one on the wiki. That's the one that I keep going back to, because that one has been curated, and there's even like one of her assistants talks about, here's the email address if you have inconsistencies, send me the edition, the page number, all of that. And so I'm trusting that one. That's the one I'm going off of, because it also talks about the different dates. And so that's where last week we talked about George's age and how there's a tiny question about how old George actually is. And that's where I'm getting all of that information, is from the Tortall wiki. Yes. It actually might be in the link tree in my bio. So that'll just be a double check. Sword yoga would be great, so you don't have the glaive, but plan a tattoo of one, and then use them in D&D and Pathfinder when you can. Oh, yes. I completely agree. That is not my practice one. I need to break out my practice sword one of these days. You can see such growth from Becca. I agree. When I actually read Becca's books, I really do enjoy them. They're just so different stylistically from the rest of the Tortall ones, but it takes me, I think I really started to get into it by the second book. The second book, Bloodhound, and then Mastiff just smacks you in the face. But those are very, and I love a thick book. I won't lie, I love a thick book. Politically, socially, the kingdom, I really love how you can see how much the kingdom has changed from book. And I think Becca's really makes Tortall. I think Becca's books make Tortall like a huge realm. It adds that depth and layers to it that you don't see in many other fantasy series, because you have something from a totally different time that makes sense in the overall structure of the rest of the world. Going to the Umani Islands. Yes. The Umani Islands. Have you all seen... We did not talk about the map in Briar's book, which was an oversight. It is basic, but it is good. But then in the Numer... Oh, I do have the Numer book. This is a good map. It's a good map. I think this is the most comprehensive Tortall map that we have so far. And it has everywhere labeled on it. A lot of the other ones don't have either the Umani Islands or the Copper Isles are left off. But this one's the most recent, and it is beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. I would love to see more post-Kel books. Oh, you could kind of care less about Tempest and Slaughter. I was just reading an interview that Tamora Pierce gave to NPR right after Tempest and Slaughter was released, and she talks about how she wanted to write one for the boys. I'm like, okay. On her website, she also says that while she has 3 books planned for this one, she also has other series planned as well. This wasn't supposed to be her last series. This is not supposed to be her last series. She still has more of the world she said she wanted to explore. Haven't read Tempest and Slaughter yet. Hasn't grabbed your interest. I didn't dislike it. It's not my favorite. I've only read it, I think, 2 or 3 times. And so I don't have the nuance yet. But it's not Alana. But if you enjoy the world, it's one of those things where, like, I'm going to love this in a couple of years. I do think it fills out the world a little bit more. The university is a really interesting place. I really like a lot of the scenes that have come together. I really like the god you're introduced to. There's some good stuff in Tempest and Slaughter. Share the fan lore. Yeah, that's my... we should do some fan lore. Get on the Discord, we'll do some fan lore, because I need to get in here, because I do have a theory about... I have lots of theories, but that's my main one. So it's your least favorite one so far. It's not bad, I just wasn't into it. I agree. It just wasn't the big one. Oh, I'm catching up on all these great comments. Technically, I think that Tempest and Slaughter would be smack in the middle of Alana. Yeah, I think so too. I think there would be some interesting overlap. Think there's a line in Tempest that alludes to Roger. Ooh, I'll have to keep a lookout for that. I don't know if I remember that. There is a part of Tempest that talks about a character in Becca. I don't know if I remember that either. Oh no! We'll get here. Can't wait for... I think it's yes, I'm not going to, just in case for spoilers too, but I think I know who you're talking about, who shows up in Becca. Can't wait for the reread. Oh, I can't wait for the reread too. This will be exciting. I agree. I hope her health holds up and we're able to get even more of the world. But as I said in my video earlier, which I did not mean to scare everybody, that was just... I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. She's okay. She did have brain surgery though. So I do really want us to celebrate Tamora Pierce while we still have her. Because that's just, it's not guaranteed. So I do want us to celebrate her, but I was not trying to scare anybody. So, but I really meant when I said, if Tempest and Slaughter is the last book that we get from her, then so be it. I'm so thankful for everything that we have up until this point, but I would rather not have to choose. I wish her a speedy recovery, and I hope that she would be willing to keep going with her characters. She had a long time, she had an unnamed Hell book listed on her website, but it disappeared. I would love to know what plans she has for afterwards, the way that Tolkien and other authors have for after their death, what kind of notes they have, or is it all going on lockdown? I don't know. It would be interesting. I hope there's a plan. Not plugged into Tempest because new Mare. Just know that you get the introduction to Sarge. That's true. And it's a wonderful introduction. And new Mare, like, he's a kid. So you see him as a kid. Tamora Pierce does a good job of taking the essence of a character and writing them across their lifetime. And I think it's different. There are some things I'm like, that is a little interesting. That's not the choice I would have made. But that's also because I don't think my growing up experience was meant to be reflected in this. But I think that's a huge part of the problem. Yes, please read it. Yeah, read it. It's going to be part of our reread, so we're doing Tortall chronologically after we finish Circle of Magic. Then we'll have this. Anything for Tamora? I've done this book. Oh, yes. Telling of her running to write. I think that would be so interesting. There's so many side characters that would be great. Because I need to know what happened to Tamora. There's some really good Mora fanfic, yes. I agree. I would give up all future books for her health. Brain surgery is intense, yes. We're all sending healing vibe. Continue to reread and love all these books. I do too. The Discord link, we can drop the Discord link. I put it in the link tree in my bio on TikTok as well. That'll take you to our page. Please join us over there. We have a great time. I must preface this by saying I am learning Discord. I made an account for this, and it's rapidly become it's great. Love it. Come join us over there. We have lots of discussions. There's some discourse on Discord. How old is Numeran Tempest? I think he's 10, 11. He's very young. 11 maybe? And it spans quite some time. I think between this book, I think her next book, there were a couple of things out and about online about it, and one of the summaries talked about how the next book would finish his years at the university and see his split with Orozone. But this is his youth. And so, yeah, it's good. It's good to see him in all of those different ways. I don't know, it's not my favorite, but I think it'll grow on me with each time that I read it. I'm so glad I'm getting all of these notifications that people are joining the Discord. So I'm so excited you're there. One and more from Alana's Sons. I agree with that. I completely agree with the Alana Sons, particularly the twin thing. We did not see enough of the twin, and I know that it's because the twins have a different feeling, but in Allie's books, we didn't hardly ever hear anything about her feeling with her twin. We heard about her twin not feeling like she had died, but we never really had the connection that Alana and Tom had together. So that was really interesting. I also wanted to see more of Allie's siblings because we saw them in Wild Magic, and I wanted more, just a little glimpse of them. It would have been great if they would have come to, I want a book 3, a 4, give me a quartet. That would be fantastic. I'm so happy that you all are enjoying this space. This is my favorite time of the week. I'm so happy everyone's here. You like Numerar? Just found out all of the characters and wanted their backstory on Numerar, but wasn't on the top. Numerar is a complicated character for so many reasons. Particularly, I was okay with Numerar. I even really liked him in so many ways until, and I still really like him. I still really like him until I read, I think it's called Elder Brother. Do I have it next to me? No. Yes! Haha! I don't know how I'm so prepared tonight. So in the Tortal and Other Tales, and then I think it's also it's also an additional chapter in Tamora Pierce's The Anthology that she edited, but it's called Elderly Brother, right? It's called Elderly Brother, and it is about the tree. Numerar turned that other mate, Tristan, into a tree. Spoiler, so sorry. But, and that meant a tree turned into a man. You have his perspective in this short story, and it's haunting. And Numerar is not put in the best light. And so it wasn't until I read that I was like, oh, this is a complicated character who's not the best. Dane really shines a beautiful light all over him. Got thrown into the Discord and with no prep too. I think yes, thank you to our Discord admins. They are the best because I don't know what I'm doing. They are the absolute best and making this space so wonderful. Alan coming at night. Ooh, I'm catching up. I'm telling you, I get these comments in batches. Alan coming at night after his mom, talking about big shoes. Yes. I think there's also a huge revelation in Allie's book. I think it's in the second one where she talks about how she spent so much of her life being jealous of Kel, but she realizes as she got older that it was only because Alana understood Kel in a way that she couldn't understand Allie. And that was heartbreaking for me to see that. Alana is, she's my favorite. And a lot of that has to do with how complicated of a character she is as she grows up. She has a lot of interesting ideas about motherhood, and it was not what I was expecting from her. But when you read it, it makes sense. Her version of motherhood really makes sense for her. And I'm not saying that it's always the best, but it would be so great to see how she mothers her other children and how they have dealt with the pressure of being the child of the lioness. Want to know how Alan feels about being Ralph's squire, too, after Kel? Yes! Those are some huge shoes to fill. Just, so good. Oh, no, the link won't let you join. Okay, well, we will get it sorted out. Try through the link in my bio, too. We need more lore about Raoul of Golden Lake. I completely agree. We also need more fan art of all of these characters, too. So if you're a fan artist, please sketch some things out. I would really love it. Raoul was one of them. Want a reunion of the siblings after the Trickster series. I agree. I thought we had a little bit of one in the epilogue, which I did not. There were parts of the epilogue, Allie's epilogue, that I didn't really enjoy, especially the part where she has a whole huge thought process about how she's not going to see her mom again. I'm like, that's so silly. We'll get on a boat. We'll do some, like, scurrying. It'll be okay. And I think her brother was there, too. But I don't think her oldest brother was with her. So I think that having the siblings together, maybe they go on an adventure, would be wonderful. Or getting all of the kids together. I want Dane's children would be such interesting ones, too. Shape-shifting, like being a shapeshifter at a really young age and growing up with them and growing up with what I can only assume is like kind of free roam of the castle. The union with siblings, more lore from the country. We're getting lots of comments. This is so great. I love how Tammy shows her characters as imperfect. She does the same thing with Kel, with John. She does. Her characters are imperfect, and I think it makes them whole. And I really love how the same things that make them really great in one moment are the same things that are their downfall. Like Alana being sharp, the line about her tongue is as sharp as her sword, and how that gets her into a lot of trouble. Everybody has consequences for their actions, and they're also actively working on it. Like Triss, when she apologized to Nico. She does that in a couple of times. She does that in her book, and she does it again in Briar's book. She apologizes to Nico. And you see these moments of, like, actual character growth. It doesn't just happen, or it isn't just a paragraph about a montage of, and then they trained, and it was hard, and then they got better. No, you see the struggle bit by bit. Let's see, honestly, I felt what Allie said about Cal because my parents loved me but also didn't understand it. There are so many of those moments. I'm glad that you saw pieces of it too. For me, that line was it was so heartbreaking to have Allie want so badly, but then understand it later on. Her mother-daughter dynamic is so fascinating. The character's faults. Alan's a prominent character in the fic that you're currently working on, Ray. Wonderful. Wonderful. We need more fanfic writers. Did the Linktree? Tried the one in the comments a minute ago. Okay. I'll check on the one in the Linktree too. I'm so excited that you want to be in the Discord. Fabulous, and thank you all for joining and sharing. Let's see here. Firm with them, and Dane is hard with the newborn. Yes! I think also, though, we forget how young Dane is. Dane's so young when she has these babies. Like, I know, like, she's an acceptable age, all of that, but she's still very young to have a kid. I love that whole scene with her mom and dad coming down. You have to be firm with them. Love seeing the growth and seeing the steps rather than glossing over it. I completely agree. Discord fic rec channel, good. It was wild that the new board listened, but of course it would listen. It's divine, being divinely told. This is so fantastic. I did not get the Illuminate Crate copies. I cannot afford them right now, but they are stunning. Absolutely stunning. I am so jealous of everyone who has the Illuminate Crate copies. They're really just beautiful. We need more. I would love to have Circle of Magic back in print again. I did get the special edition of the Circle of Magic, the one that has, for some reason, it lists Daja's air and Triss's fire, because that makes no sense. But I did get these, and I love them. They feel like a Scholastic Book Fair library book. I am so excited about these editions. They shocked me, and I love thrift stores, because they were like $6 each. I was influenced. Usually I do not care if my editions match, or if I have a hardback. A book, for me, a book is a book is a book. I'm excited to read it. But those called my name. You get Dane's childhood mixed up with Allie's child, and I was so confused. Yes. I want that next generation together. I would love to see, give me more. One thing I think would be really powerful, that I think about a lot, and we all know this is just because I love her so much, is I want to know what happens to Alana when she dies. I think that would be such a powerful scene to write. I don't know whose perspective it would be from, but I want to know how the realm mourns their champion. I don't feel like she has an end to her story, and I think part of that is probably the brilliance of it, and you can keep thinking about it all, but if there were a scene that I would want, I can't even say that yet, because I would need to think further about it, but one scene that I would love to see written in some way, shape, or form would be what happens with Alana. I want to know if Faithful greets her somewhere. Top tier editions. Trickster books for the hardest. Let's see. I'm catching up all these comments. Daja's fire, right? Daja is obviously fire. They are so pretty. Love the Trickster books. Who hasn't wanted to overthrow a corrupt government? Right? Who hasn't wanted to? Who, though, has been equipped in the same way Allie has been? I'm trying-ish. I read a lot of theories. Wish we could get more Circle of Magic, but the Alana series is more popular, yes. We will get more. I'm going to try to make more Circle of Magic content when I don't think I'm going to keep spoiling it for myself, or if I feel like I'm not going to make a complete fool of myself by making it. And so a lot of the reasons, I don't know what's happening with this hat, but hey, one of the reasons why I love the Tortall books is because the characters keep showing up over and over again. And so I want to see how the rest of the Circle series unfolds before I do things like a video about my favorite chapters, because I might not know what my favorite chapter is yet. I have ideas though, clearly. But we will get more Circle of Magic. Trickster books for the hardest or for you to get into. That's interesting. They were tricky for me too. When I first read them, a lot of that had to do with how dark the vibe was right off the bat. When Allie was captured, that was a huge shift, and I knew it was not going to be like anything we had before. I really thought we were just going to run around Tortall again, but that was not the case. I loved it. I'm so happy so many people are here. Yes. Oh, break you. Weren't interested in the spycraft. Okay. Okay. The spycraft is like that, and that political piece of it too. Let me see. I'm coming back. I really like the diversity of the characters that Tammy wrote. Want Alana to go on an adventure amongst Faithful's rebellious star clusters after death. Yes, absolutely, I do. Then there's a part of me that's like, Alana deserves a rest. I don't know if she would want a rest, but she also deserves a rest. See, her saying Faithful would make me cry. I completely agree. Me too. Me too. I read Trickster's Choice so much in high school, the cover got ripped off. Those are such good books. I feel like it would do a time skip with the new rulership and whatnot. I agree. I think they probably would do a time skip, new rulership. That would be an interesting, when we talk about the next generation, Thea and Jonathan's kids are part of that next generation too, and I think it'd be interesting to hear more about them and their stories. The next series you do a live read of, we do the original quartet. I would love to do, I love reading. I will read anything out loud that people want me to. It's one of my favorites. We'll do the original, which original quartet? There are a couple. You already wrote a beloved character death in another fandom, not doing it again. That's fine. That's fine. We don't need... I can get angst and sorrow elsewhere. This is not always where I find it. It would be to get the different points of view from John, George, the kids, Cal, Circle of Magic. Circle of Magic, I've heard, still has books that are still being written too. Tammy has kept these doors wide open. Google said so. Someday. There is an idea for a Triss-centric book and the Circle Reforged. More Triss-centered things would be great. She wasn't... I really loved how she was in Briar. Her role in Briar's book. I loved when she was talking to Crane. The returning characters build the world in such an interesting way. And they're such... I love how they're built to be such gigantic characters and then also so human. So human. They do really... I think Wild Magic in particular does a really good job of that. Let's see. There's so many great comments. I'm catching up on it all. We have definitely gone over. I'm so sorry if anybody needs to leave. Like, please do what you need to do. We're having a great time. I'll probably go for a little bit longer. So please let me know anything else Tamora Pierce. Pop it in the chat. If you do need to head out, please join the Discord. If you haven't, pop over to... We have a YouTube now. I'm going to put some long form content up there soon. Working on some, but that's also where I put the lives afterwards. I'm so glad you're here. Next week we're gonna do the Circle Opens. The Circle Opens. Here it is. Next week we're gonna do Circle Opens, but I want to get through comments that we do have and anything else that you have about all things Tamora Pierce. It was a big week for her. So let me know, pop it in the chat. Circle of Magic still has more coming, hopefully, just like the rest of them. Let's see, returning characters. Yeah, Allie with Allie shaving her hair off. That one was a hard turn, hard vibe shift. I'll stay by that. Returning and growing. You have 2 copies of Sandry's book. Yeah, these. I'm not in love with the design of these books. I do like the illustrations on these. I wish we had more of them. But I was not in love with these covers. You love the short stories? Yes, I do too. I really love that ostrich one. Or I think it's called Mimic. There's one called Mimic and then there's one about the young girl who becomes the Shang warrior. You bought all the anthologies and then put them all in one book. Oh, no. That's great, though. I just picked up this Young Warrior anthology that she worked on. I'm excited to read it. There's some really great names in here that she worked with. But it is, I'm pretty sure it just has the Numair one in it. And then the Tortal and Other Legends. This one's a great one if you haven't checked that out yet. Current copies are secondhand from the thrift stores. Yep, that's... Mine's the library. They're away. Thrift stores. Sad they are not in print anymore. Feel like saying Alana's passing would be like, have to be like a flashback. That's another good thought about writing it. Yes. That would be really interesting. I feel her story still feels so open-ended. Love to see Tortal with the Yamani Queen, but also John's grandkid with half Yamani King. Yes, and that culture blend. That would be really, really interesting. Really interesting. Or even I think about Dove and Sari's kids. There are so many different options. She made such a great, deep world. Can handle it. Ooh, Alana's customs. I need to get better with keeping up with comments. I'm sorry, y'all. Alana with a custom afterlife like Rosethorn, exploring the stars with Faithful. I think she would enjoy that. I think she would be a little weirded out, too. I think there would be a question of divine realms, because part of Tortal, right, is that divine realms versus peaceful realms. And Alana is not divine, but she has been divinely chosen. So is there an option? Is there a medium place? Is there a medium place for Alana? Brittany, you legit love when everyone meets on the lawn. They're like, oh my god, how short you are. Yes, I do too. And that's stuck in my brain for years. And I thought Alana was my height, but no, she's taller. I always thought that Duke Fergus would end up making Sandria's heir. Would love to read that. That would be so interesting. So interesting. I can't wait to read about them growing up, the circle growing up. Love more Circle of Magic. We're not getting our hopes up, but who knows what Tamora Pierce has written? Who knows what short stories? We don't know what's on her computer. Is enrolled in Shinko's firstborn a girl, and I think that she has the rights of succession. That would be a really interesting story. That would be such an interesting story. And I'd be really curious to see how the world has changed throughout all of these wars, the Immortals Wars. The map that we have in here, it says was commissioned by King Jonathan and Queen Thayet, but what does that actually mean a generation or two later? Cozy but action-packed. Tamora is doing, as far as I know, Tamora Pierce is doing okay after surgery. I am not up on things. If you are on Facebook, please hop into the unofficial Tamora Pierce Facebook group. That one is huge. There are over 8,000 people in it. You have to answer a couple of questions to jump in, but it's like the only reason I go to Facebook at all. But Tamora Pierce is, in theory, she's a part of that group. And so she'll occasionally post in there, and that's where I get a lot of the updates. The design shifts were wonky in the Circle of Magic series. I agree. They're a little... Somebody else needed just a look-see on that. That would have been very nice. Good night, yes! I'm so happy that everyone was able to be here. Love to see a firstborn half-Mani girl. Ruler's Queen, I agree. Good night, y'all. I'm so happy you were able to join. I always wonder who Deb would end up marrying. Such a volatile situation. I agree. I'm glad that she didn't have anybody right at the end. She needs some time to roll, but I think it would be really interesting who she would end up with. There's a part of me that thinks it would be very political, very strategic. Alana meeting Becca in Peaceful Realms and imagine seeing Spider-Man pointing me. Yes, I agree with Pounce. I think that would be great. Also, like, as a Cooper, just be like, so, let me tell you about this man I know, George. Not one of the Provost docs. Yes, you said the fan effect, and it is kind of like that job. It is. Celtic's overtraining. Alana's, well, Alana. We love Alana. Fabulous. I'm so happy everyone was here. I'm going to wind things down for this week. But I'm going to take this recording. I'll put it up on YouTube. Becca meeting George in the Peaceful Realms. Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be funny? Imagining Bella and Becca and Alana teaming up with George. I think it would be so great. Big time jump like the Becca books, but future time would be so cool. See how Alana's legend lives. I agree. That's such a good idea. And like, are Lady Knights prevalent again? That's one of my big questions after Kel too. Like, what does that look like? Alana tattoo ideas. Oh, so many. That's a good question. Let's do a question for next week and/or in the Discord server, the tattoo ideas, because I have a lot of answers to that. But I would love to hear what other people think too. But a shield with lion eye. Yes. There's so many good as shield. Lots of good ones. On the Facebook group there are threads on occasion. I would love to do a thread on one of my videos. Maybe I'll do a tattoo thread of different ideas. Cat with purple eyes would be such a good one. Lightning the sword. There's so many. So yes. All right. We'll talk more tattoos next week. It's time to start the circle opens next week. So the first half will be magic steps for the circle opens. Please join the Discord. Check out the YouTube. More long form content will be coming on there soon. I'm having a lot of fun writing it. And of course, keep checking out. If you haven't followed the TikTok, follow the TikTok. You're here. You stayed for book club. I am so excited that you all are here. I'm going to grab some food and probably take a little walk, but then I'll be on the Discord server in a bit. If anybody has more thoughts from tonight, Atlas sighting. Yes, actually, yes. We can do an Atlas sighting before we go. Miss Atlas. Are we ready? She's not about it. Hey. She's not about it. All right, this has been fantastic. Best part of the week. I am so happy that you all are here. Thanks for joining book club. I'll see you on the Discord server in a little bit. See you soon. Bye, y'all.